Hi everyone, welcome to the Ever Seeking Empath. I am a reader who uses Tarot, Oracle, and Charms, and today I'm also going to be using the Actions Story Cubes, and I've also got some handwritten messages as well, just to get some more information. So today's reading is the last of my Halloween-themed readings, and it's for those of you who have been ghosted by someone either recently or just in the past, and you want to get some information about what happened, what they're thinking, that kind of thing. So we're going to try to figure out what happened and why they ghosted, and if they're going to try to come back or reconnect with you in some way. This is going to be primarily focused on relationships of a romantic nature, but if you've been ghosted by a friend or something like that, there still might be something in this reading for you. It is a general reading, so everything might not resonate with you, even if you're asking about a romantic relationship. So just take what resonates for your situation and disregard the rest. I would also like to put in a quick request. If you enjoy this video, please consider liking or commenting and subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. So we've got 3 piles today. Pile 1 is this pair of earrings that they kind of look like a Ouija board planchette, like the little marker you move around on the board, and they say yes and no. Pile 2 is this bit of spirit quartz. And pile 3 is this little plush who's one of the hitchhiking ghosts from the Haunted Mansion. So just take a deep breath. Figure out which pile you feel most drawn to. And I'm going to put timestamps in the description box and in the comments below. And now we're going to get started with pile number 1. Hi group 1, so if you chose the Ouija board earrings, then this is your reading. So I'm going to start with your tarot and oracle. And with your oracle cards, I've also I put my tarot playlist on shuffle, and I got a song for each group, so I've got that written down with the oracle cards as well. And then we're going to do your charms and your dice and your handwritten messages also. So let's figure out why your person ghosted. You got the 9 of Wands, the Moon, and the 9 of Swords. So that's 2 9s. Well, 3 9s, I guess, if you have the Moon included, because the Moon is number 18, and those added up become 9. So yeah, I feel like your person is holding back because of fear. I feel like they've got their boundaries up and they are not letting anybody in right now. They've probably dealt with some difficult relationships in the past, and that's made them fearful of entering into a new one. It's probably given them a fear of being vulnerable, because I feel like in the past, if they've let their guard down, then people have taken advantage of that. So yeah, I think they've still got their walls up. They're not maybe ready for a relationship at this time. And then the Moon and the 9 of Swords are both big fear cards. The Moon talks about illusion and not having the whole picture, and basically making up kind of a fantasy in your head that could be worse than the reality of the situation. So I feel like that's kind of what they're doing. And then with the 9 of Swords, they're overthinking, they're fearful. It might be keeping them up at night, and they decided to ghost just so they wouldn't have to deal with that. But I'm getting the feeling too, because this is the last tarot card that came out, that they probably did not get relieved of this kind of anxious thought spiral. I bet that they're still feeling that way about you. But let's see what your oracle cards have to say. So you got change, discernment, skeleton, strength, a change in the wind, number 12, what do you need to release? And that's waning moon. She who hesitates, Mora, ponder, delay, confidence. Buffalo, and that's the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. So I'm going to have to read the guidebook for that one. It's a new deck for me, and I actually really like how the guidebook describes these. So for your Island Time Wellness Love Oracle, you've got Cheers, Who's Walking Who, the Phoenix, and Photograph. So yeah, I feel like your person is definitely afraid. I think they're hesitating big time on getting into any kind of relationship. I feel like they do regret it though, because I'm seeing a change in the wind. What do you need to release? And I'm seeing this photograph, which is missing you. So I feel like they're probably realizing that what they did was not great. I think they're probably suffering some sort of consequences for their actions, and they're recognizing they have to release living out of fear and move forward into a better mindset in order to live the life that they want to live, because you've got these 2 change cards here. And I feel like they've, in the past, maybe not been that discerning about the people that they let into their life, so now they're just kind of erring on the side of caution. With this skeleton card too, you can see how the skull is all broken and cracked, so I feel like they've been through a lot in the past. That's supporting that Nine of Wands energy too, that I think they've gone through so much and they just do not want to let anybody in. They're so fearful because they've been through a lot and they don't want to have to repeat those incidents that they've gone through. I do feel like when they met you, you guys had a lot of fun together. I think they felt like it was something worth celebrating. It made them happy, but then that triggered this kind of control issue that they're like, oh boy, now I'm getting in too deep and I'm realizing that means I don't have any power anymore. So I'm going to pull back and take back my power. I feel like that's kind of how they've learned to protect themselves, is just by keeping the power with them, keeping the ball in their court at all times. But with the Phoenix, they're realizing that they can't keep going like that. And I am seeing rekindle here. So I feel like some of them do want to rekindle this relationship. And with Photograph, it even says missing you nostalgia and make new memories. So I think if you guys have photos together, they're looking at those, or they might just be kind of stalking you on social media or something like that. But I think that they are wanting to kind of rekindle the relationship you guys had, because they're realizing you're amazing and fear is just keeping them back from getting anything done. They're not experiencing anything new because they're holding back so much. I am going to read from the book on that buffalo card. So it says, grounded yet heavenly, practical yet spiritual. The hooves of the mighty buffalo are grounded in the earth, yet its heart and mind rise toward heaven. The buffalo sees challenge, hardship, or a bump in the road as an opportunity for upliftment. Therefore, the buffalo does not fear death, illness, or misfortune. Its gentle eyes look to the road ahead, trusting every turn. So I think that is kind of what they're trying to get to, is to the point where they trust that things will work out at some point. And I feel like they're realizing that they're just missing out on life by sticking with this kind of fear mindset. So I think they're kind of getting to the point where it's like, hey, I need to trust what's coming to me. I need to take a chance once in a while and recognize that what is meant to happen will happen, and I can just control what direction I move in. And I think they're kind of getting to know what direction they do want to move in as well. I'm also going to read from this Edgar Allan Poe playing card. You got the 9 of Diamonds, which is the 9 of Pentacles, and it's another 9 here, so that's definitely talking about like a transition phase, the end of one cycle and starting to move into another. It's that kind of final stretch before the end of the battle here. So it says, to vilify a great man is the readiest way in which a little man can himself attain greatness. So I feel like, yeah, that just kind of speaks to those insecurities that I feel like they've been feeling. I think maybe their environment is kind of filled with that kind of person who brings other people down because they feel bad about themselves. It's that kind of crabs in a bucket mentality. You know, if you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one kind of starts to climb out and escape, the other crabs drag it down. And I feel like a lot of people do that emotionally to other people. You know, it's hard to kind of be like trying to be successful or happier when you're surrounded by miserable people. And I think a lot of the time when other people are unhappy with their lives, it's hard to just let other people be happy, because then it's like, wait, am I doing something wrong? You know, can I be that happy too? And it's like, no, that takes work. I'm going to drag that person down. And I feel like that's maybe a pattern that they've had to break in their family or in their environment in some way. So I feel like that's something they're working on right now, is allowing themselves to kind of break away from that mindset. And then we've got your song here. So you guys got Sober Up by AJR. So one of the things that might have contributed just from the get-go, I'm thinking they could have an alcohol issue or some other addiction that might have contributed to them ghosting you. Maybe they are kind of ashamed of that. That might be something that they need to release. They might be trying to overcome an addiction or something. They might be trying to just get healthier habits in place. They might just kind of use alcohol as an escape at times, but I think they also might have maybe turned to you when you were still talking to them to kind of help break them out of their toxic cycles, you know, and you put your foot down and said, no, I'm not going to do that. That's your job. You have to do that. And that might have triggered their ego, and that might have been one of the things that made them ghost. But I feel like that's probably just for a few people, not everyone. So now we're going to get your handwritten messages. So let's figure out why they ghosted. So group 1, why did your person ghost? Okay, that was quick. So yeah, it says setting a boundary. So that might have been something that maybe they got their ego triggered. I do want to get one more, I think, because I feel like that's not going to apply to everyone. Hold on, let me pick all of them up. Yeah, so let's get one more for you guys. Okay. So yeah, also commitment phobic. So I think that's definitely playing into their fears. So I think for some of you, that might have been that you triggered their ego in some way or kind of crossed a boundary. Maybe they were trying to work on things on their own and you were maybe asking them to come talk to you or something like that, and that pushed them to just kind of shut things down entirely because they didn't want to burden you, or they felt like you weren't respecting them in some way, so they set that boundary. And then some of them are definitely commitment phobic, that, you know, to be with somebody, to commit to somebody means you have to be vulnerable with them and give them the power to hurt you. And I think that's something that they have not been ready to do. I don't think they've been ready to let anybody kind of see that vulnerable side of them. So we're going to do your dice now, and then we're going to do your charms. So for the dice, what I do is roll this 10-sided die to figure out how many of the story cubes to roll. So you got 7. And I just let 2 of them drop back into the container. So group 1, why did your person ghost? Whoops, one just went flying onto the floor, so I'm going to have to pick that one up. Okay. Okay, so the one that flew onto the floor landed with this dancing person up. So yeah, so this one always makes me think of just kind of sending energy out into the world. So I think they're kind of realizing that the energy they send out is what's coming back to them. Because I feel like the more anxious and insecure they get, the more they're drawing in anxious and insecure people. And I think they're trying to change that. I feel like with this change, this landed on the change card, this person climbing a tree. So I feel like they're actually doing the work right now to make some changes in their lives. And then with this dancing person, I think they might be trying to kind of raise their vibration, dance, you know, listen to music, play music, just do things that make them feel good and just relax, spend time alone, and just kind of get, like, bring joy back into their lives on their own before they're ready to kind of share it with somebody else. I think this is perfect. This landed on the discernment card. So yeah, I think they're still trying to figure out ways to figure out who is worth their time and their energy and worth opening up to. And I think that they are kind of learning it's worth it for some people. So they just have to be discerning, but they can't prevent themselves from getting hurt all the time. And I think that's maybe a burden they've been carrying for a long time, is trying to avoid getting hurt ever by anybody else. So I feel like, yeah, this person's carrying a heavy burden, and I feel like with this strength, I think they're realizing that they can walk out the door. They don't have to kind of sit in that fear mentality anymore. And I think they're having an awakening right now with this person getting kind of rudely awoken by the alarm clock. So I feel like whatever they're going through probably isn't very easy on them. I think it's probably a difficult process to go through. I think they're changing and they're having to do a lot of work, and it's probably making them look at parts of themselves that they didn't want to look at for a long time. But I think they're getting there. So I think they will contact you, but I think it's probably not going to be for a while. But let's see what your charms have to say before we decide that for sure. So I am going to use the heart today to figure out what's in the heart of the situation. So group 1, why did your person ghost? Okay, that's enough charms, I think. So let's move them so you can kind of see. So in the heart here, you've got the Cancer zodiac sign. So they might be a Cancer, or you might be a Cancer, but that's also a lot of the times it has to do with emotional vulnerability, wanting that kind of feeling of emotional security and comfort as well. And you've got the Little Mermaid here. So I feel like they're realizing that there's a new world that they can be a part of, and they want to do that, and they're doing the work to get there. But it's just, I think it's still in the place where it feels a little bit like a dream, but they're, I think, starting to recognize more and more that they actually can make it work. They actually can get there. You've got definite moon energy here, so that's emphasizing that moon card, just kind of sitting in the fear mentality and kind of just sitting, like allowing the unknown to freak you out into fearing the worst. But I think they're getting unstuck. This spider web always makes me think of feeling stuck and trying to get unstuck. And they're trying to drop their toxic behaviors with this skull and crossbones. I think it is going to take a while before they maybe contact you again, or before they're done with this process, because this turtle is slow and steady progress. They are getting there, and they're transforming. This dragonfly is good luck and positivity, but also transformation energy. I think they're gaining the confidence right now to get the life that they want, and maybe to come back to reach out to you and apologize. With the Sun card too, I think they're getting clarity. Yeah, I think it's a matter of when. I think they will come back to you, but it's just a matter of when. They're taking control back. They're gonna, steer the ship where they need it to go. I think they're done releasing control to their environment or to kind of toxic behaviors from their past, and they're taking back the control over what they want to do. They're figuring out which direction they want to move in. And I think that they are going to get there, because this star symbolizes wishes coming true and hope and optimism after a difficult time. With this infinity symbol, I feel like it's been kind of a never-ending cycle. Maybe this is a generational thing too. They could have been from a family who had the same kinds of issues, maybe commitment issues or addictions or something like that. So this is just kind of perpetuating the cycle. I think they're trying to kind of measure out what they're capable of right now. And I feel like the word like microdosing is coming into my head. So I feel like that could be something that they're doing, is just taking baby steps and seeing what happens, just like kind of trying something just a tiny little bit, and then seeing how they cope with it, seeing what happens, how they do. Because I think this is a really scary experience for them. And with this shark, that symbolizes fears, and sometimes fears being bigger than the situation itself. So I feel like they are facing their fears, but it's overwhelming for them right now. And I think they do want to get your attention, call out to you with this megaphone. I think they want to kind of announce their progress to you is the vibe I'm getting. Like maybe you're the person who kind of triggered something in them to change, and they're wanting to kind of report to you, but they don't want to until they're fully healed. But they are healing with this starfish energy that represents healing. Starfish grow back their limbs when they lose them, so that's why that's the symbol of healing. And yeah, this bird is more messaging energy and just messages coming in, communication. So I feel like you are going to get some sort of communication from them. You might get it sooner. Like some people might get kind of quicker communication coming in, but I would guess that it probably won't be anything that's promising anything. It might just be checking in or just a quick, apology, or even like someone sending you a meme or something like that, like coming out of nowhere, acting like nothing is wrong, that sort of thing. With this bar cart, I kind of think of having choices. So I feel like they are trying to kind of figure out what they want. And with that commitment phobic energy too, I feel like maybe they're trying to decide if they actually want commitment or if they just, can get that kind of stable energy from friends and they want something romantic that's a little bit lighter and not as intense. So I feel like they're realizing also that they have more choices than they thought they did. And I think that they're starting to take down their walls. They're starting to kind of close up the umbrella, take down the protective implementation that they've put up. I think with this hedgehog, this one landed upside down as well. So I feel like they're kind of, baring their belly a little bit to the world. They're practicing being vulnerable. They're not keeping their guard up as much anymore. But they do want to come back when they're their best self. This cat always makes me think of kind of just showing your best self to the world. And I think that they're so worried about what they did to you in the past with this elephant that's learning lessons from the past and things like that. So I feel like they are trying to make sure that they have learned their lessons and that they have the ability to show you that they regret what they've done. I think they don't want to kind of put you off by coming back. So I think that's why the delay is here. With this arrowhead, they're kind of sharpening their focus at this time, trying to figure out how they can move forward. And they're getting ready to open up with this flower. This one always kind of looks like it was a little bit shyer to kind of open up. So I feel like they're getting to the point where they're going to be more comfortable opening up. But I do think that maybe their self-love is kind of flourishing. That's often what I think of with this kind of heart flower wreath. So I feel like that's something that they're trying to kind of propagate before they can move into a relationship with anybody, is they need to practice their self-love, because that's going to be key. All right, group one. Well, I hope this resonates. I would love to hear if it does, so please leave me a comment below. If you'd like to listen to the song that I pulled for your pile, I will link that below as well. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. I hope you've had a wonderful October, and I hope to see you again. Thanks for watching. Hi, group two. So if you chose this bit of spirit quartz, then this is your message. So I'm going to start with your tarot and oracle, and with the oracle cards, I also put my playlist on shuffle and picked a song for each pile, so that's written down as well. And then we'll do your charms and your dice and your handwritten messages. So for your tarot, you've got Ace of Cups, Seven of Swords, and Elder of Cups. So for your person, I feel like there was something you didn't know about them with the Seven of Swords. That's kind of tricky energy, manipulative energy, trying to get away with something. But I feel like something maybe got too emotional for them and they tried to kind of just sneak away. And now they're kind of in that period of like balancing emotions and logic and trying to figure out what to do from here. Because with this Elder of Cups, you can see the fish isn't quite going up to the cup at the surface there. So let's check your oracle cards. You've got I Am Truth, Faith. You actually got two of those cards, so you also got Gentleness, Skull of Darkness, Blind Spots. Community, number 8. Adjustments are required, third quarter moon. She who loved once, blue, fragile secret love, rejection. And she who aches, Perpetua, sadness, solitude, silent withdraw. For your spirit animal, you've got vulture. And for that one, I'm actually going to read from the book in a little bit because I really like how they describe stuff. And then for your Island Time Wellness Love Oracle, you've got subconscious mind, later dude, and relational abuse. So what I'm kind of getting from this is you definitely didn't know everything that was going on. I feel like something might have been going on at home. Maybe this person has another partner or something, and they weren't telling you about that, or they've got a kid, or there's some other kind of responsibilities at home that was keeping them stuck, because I'm seeing this community, and then with the blind spots and Seven of Swords, that's, you know, not knowing everything about this person. And then with I Am Truth, I feel like there might have been some guilt there too, that they're maybe being dishonest with themselves as well, and that led them to being dishonest with you. With adjustments are required, I think that they probably are trying to fix something at home before they're really able to be in a relationship with someone new. And then these two Elle Qui Oracle cards just make me think that they're either recently broken up with somebody or just are healing somehow, because we've got she who loved once and she who aches. So they're not in a good place right now emotionally. I feel like with that Ace of Cups too, they're in a very emotional state, and I think they're trying to kind of balance out their emotions again. With that Elder of Cups, that's also the King of Cups in traditional tarot. So I feel like they're trying to kind of just get back their ability to have a little bit of control over their emotions rather than just feeling completely led by them. So I think this is some sort of subconscious pattern that they've kind of fallen into, and they're trying to recondition themselves right now to kind of do better at it. But I do think that that made them kind of run off, and I think maybe they're used to like throwing themselves into relationships from the get-go, and because this later dude card says be comfortable being alone at the bottom, so I feel like maybe that's what they're working on, is that they're trying to get comfortable being alone before they're going to welcome in anybody else. I think they're probably in a state where they're realizing that their old relationship patterns do not work for them. I think maybe they were in something codependent, or they have been abused, or maybe they were the abusive one, something like that. And I think that now they're realizing that there have been red flags in past relationships, and they've got some red flags showing, so they're wanting to change that. And I think they might be reaching out and asking for help at this point, and maybe they're starting to actually have faith that things can change, that they're not, this isn't a life sentence, that they have to stay in this kind of bad mental state right now. And I'm seeing gentleness too, so I feel like they're trying to practice being gentle with themselves. I bet that this is somebody who is generally very, very hard on themselves, and so it's easier for them to lie to themselves and to other people rather than to admit the truth, because they don't want to admit that they're wrong or that they're screwed up, because I think deep down they feel like they're completely screwed up. So yeah, I want to read from that spirit animal book before we go any further, because I like how they word things. So Vulture says, guardian and purifier, essential for rebalance. So that's exactly what I was saying, that they're trying to rebalance that emotion, their emotional energy with kind of logic. They're trying to regain control over some things. So it says, the vulture is perhaps the most misunderstood creature of all. This intriguing bird balances our ecosystem and prevents the spread of disease. It does the dirty work that no one else wants to do and cleans up our messes. The vulture appears when there's a situation that needs to be purified or brought back into balance. Remember, the vulture is greatly undervalued. What you thought was a mistake or tragedy is a blessing in disguise. So, yeah, I feel like they're definitely trying to rebalance things, and maybe there's some kind of crisis at home that they're now kind of being put in charge of, that they might be trying to kind of get control over the emotions of others too. Maybe they come from a family with a lot of like mental illness and things, and like people kind of manipulating each other, and so I feel like they're trying to kind of take control, and they're realizing that that's not healthy, and so they have to kind of gain control over their environment, over themselves, before they're ready to let anybody in, because I really do not think that they're in a good place to be in a relationship of any sort. So then for your Edgar Allan Poe card, you've got the Ace of Diamonds, which is the Ace of Pentacles. It will be found, in fact, that the ingenious are always fanciful, and the truly imaginative never otherwise than analytic. So I feel like, yeah, that's just kind of leading me to that balancing the emotional and like imaginative energy and that creative energy with something practical, analytical. And I think they're trying to kind of get that back into balance, because I think they tend to fall off a cliff when they start to get emotional, that they kind of dive deep and they can't get back out of it again. So I think they're trying to kind of get into that state of being able to rebalance that. I just feel like that's the word that keeps coming to mind, is rebalance, just from whatever that was, if that was past relationships or trouble at home. I think that there's a whole bunch of different scenarios in this. So let's get your song. So group 2, your song is I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For by U2. That's interesting too, because the last reading that I did, where we did songs as well, that was one of the songs that came out. So if you watch that video and this is your group, this might be kind of linking to a similar situation. You might be asking about the same person or something, but I feel like this person is trying to figure out how to live the life that they want, and they don't know what that looks like yet, because they haven't had an example shown to them of something healthy or good for them. They've just kind of they've lived in a toxic state in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like their family has had some trouble, and past relationships have been toxic, and I think they're trying to figure out what their life and what their relationships should look like and what they want, but I think they're still looking for it, that they're kind of trying things out and just having to figure things out along the way. So now we're going to do one of your handwritten messages. So group 2, why did this person ghost? Okay, you got 2 of them, so that's good. So you got depressed or overwhelmed, and you got busy. So yeah, I feel like that's a combination. I think they might even be busy dealing with depression or things that are overwhelming them. They might have depression. People in their family or other loved ones might have depression, and they're trying to handle that. But I just feel like they're juggling too much right now, and they're trying to find a way to juggle it in a healthier way. I think they're starting to have faith that things can change, because I think as they start to become more gentle with themselves and they start admitting what the truth is, and they actually go through that kind of grieving process and diving deep into their emotions, they're recognizing that things can change. But I think that does put them in a state where they're not ready for a relationship at this point. So far, I'm not seeing anything about them potentially reaching out to you, but let's see. We still have your dice and your charms to get through. So for the dice, I roll this 10-sided die to figure out how many dice we're going to roll. So you've got 3. So we're going to roll 3 of the story cubes today. So I like to just dump them all out and then just drop 6 back into the bin. Okay, so group 2, why did this person ghost? Okay. Yeah, so this person is just overwhelmed and frustrated. And since that landed on that gentleness card, I feel like they're trying not to beat themselves up. They're trying not to get terribly overwhelmed, and they're recognizing that they can only take things one step at a time, but they're just overwhelmed with this. With this crossroads, this guy is just wondering which route to take. So I feel like, yeah, they have no idea where to go from here. They're trying to figure it out. They're just kind of taking baby steps forward and seeing what happens, and that goes very well with your song, that they still don't know what they want. They still don't know kind of what is going to feel right to them. And then with this person trying to figure out what's in the gift box, on the blind spots, I feel like, yeah, there are a lot of things that they aren't even facing or recognizing about themselves. And I think they're kind of trying to sift through that part of their brain and just look at what's happened to them and figure out where these behavior patterns are coming from. And I think that they're trying to kind of shine light on these blind spots that they have. So we're going to do your charms now to get some more info. And I am going to use the heart today to figure out what's at the heart of the situation. So group 2, why did your person ghost? Okay. So you got a bunch of charms. In the heart, you've got, okay. So I feel like they definitely have some split energy here, this person doing the splits. I feel like they're probably trying to do too much at once, and maybe they've got kind of, not necessarily two personas, I'm not saying that specifically, but I think that they present two different personas to the world, that they've got one at home and then maybe one out when they try to date. And I think that that's something that they've kind of taken on as a coping mechanism so that they don't have to show everybody the kind of the bad part of themselves. I feel like they don't want people to see their bad side. And I think, not that it's necessarily horrible, but I think they're ashamed of part of who they are and they don't want anyone else to see it. So they do kind of split their time and their energies between that. And I think right now they just don't have the time or the emotional bandwidth basically to take that on to show anybody else a different side. They have to put all of their energy into whatever is going on in their personal life. With this shark too, this has to do with fears, and fears often being bigger than what the actual situation is. So I feel like they're definitely facing a lot of fears right now, but they are trying to work on healing, because the starfish is a symbol of healing because they grow back their limbs when they lose them. So I feel like that's something that they're definitely trying to work on, is making sure that they heal before they're ready to even take on another relationship or, invite new people into their life. I think that they're recognizing that that's just toxic, that leads to nothing healthy. So I think right now their focus is on their personal life at this time. But I do think that they're starting to kind of be honest with themselves. This mask kind of landed face down, like you take the mask off, and I think they're realizing that if they're honest with themselves, that doesn't mean that they're stuck in a permanent state of being a terrible person. I think they're recognizing that things will get better and that they do have the possibility to change things that they don't like about themselves and about their life. So, yeah, I think they are seeing things clearly, or they're starting to at least with these glasses. I think they've been having to kind of dive into the situation and just take control. I think things from the past are probably coming up for them, and they're in this kind of death transformation energy. Virgo came out, so they could be a Virgo, you could be a Virgo. This could just kind of play into things in some way, but the word on the back is practical. So they could just be focusing on these practical things in their lives right now. And you do have the Ace of Pentacles here, so that's definitely practicality and planting the seeds for something long-lasting. It can be career or finance oriented, and we do have the Ace of Pentacles on your Edgar Allan Poe card as well, so that's just repeating that energy. You have the number 7 coming out, so that might be an important number or date or something like that. You've got the word happy, so I think they're trying to figure out how to be happy, what would make them happy, but they're not really sure yet, but they are kind of starting to acknowledge, hey, maybe wishes do come true. I think they're recognizing that things can change, because see, the sun is coming out from behind the clouds, so I feel like they're starting to see maybe a little bit of positive change, and so they're trying to kind of ride that wave and move into a better phase. This egg cup always makes me think of eggs when they get boiled. They start out with just kind of a thin, hard shell, and then they get harder as you cook them. So I feel like when they get put into tough situations, they've hardened. And so it's made it harder to look at their vulnerable side and at their emotions. So they're just now realizing, hey, I can't just ignore that forever. And this method isn't working for me. So I have to move on and do something else. They're trying to get unstuck right now. They're trying to move on to a time of more peace and serenity. They want more joy in their life, and they're transforming it to be more joyful. I think they do have some protective energy around them, because there's the angel there, and then we've also got this feather here. So that's one of my symbols of angelic protection sometimes, but it can also be signs and synchronicities from the universe or from your spirit guides. This little flower always makes me think of blossoming. So I feel like they're starting to kind of open up and just barely starting to become who they want to be. And they're kind of, I feel like they're in kind of an emotionally childlike state right now, like recognizing what they can do and who they can be. And I think they are trying to be kind of soft and gentle with themselves with this heart. I feel like they're kind of working on healing their heart and working on healing some old wounds that had to do with their love life, and just kind of making sure that they're not kind of repeating those toxic cycles anymore just because they're still hurt from that. You've got the scarab here, which symbolizes transformation. It's kind of the Egyptian equivalent of the phoenix rising from the ashes. So I feel like that's something that they're working on right now and trying to do. Anubis also is that kind of death energy and the afterlife. So I feel like they are probably kind of in that period of transformation where they're recognizing what they can do to change. You've got the cheerleader here. So I feel like they're kind of trying to cheer themselves on because it's exhausting for them. And you've got the manta ray. So I feel like they're trying to kind of go with the flow and just be going easy on themselves. And they're trying to embrace joy as well. I feel like that's something that they're trying to work on to make sure that they kind of stay a little bit more in balance. You've also got the Buddha here. So I feel like they're starting to become enlightened right now. I think they're recognizing things that need to change, and they're starting to find ways to change them. So you've got the little like needle here. So I feel like that's just showing that they're trying to kind of boost themselves. Like that's what I'm thinking is like booster shot. So I feel like they're trying to kind of do what they need to do so that they can face the things in their life that need facing right now. I think they're trying to kind of make sure that they're healing, and they're trying to kind of be their own support systems. I feel like maybe they're lacking a support system, and that's why they're taking everything on their own. And they're trying to kind of measure out what they need to do and like what they can handle and what they can't. But I think they're trying to get the right amount of everything into their life. And I feel like they're kind of shedding the leaves of what no longer serve them, and they're getting ready to grow. They're branching out. They're moving out of their old ways and into a new way of doing things. I do think that they're kind of starting to move forward quickly, but I think it's still going to take a long time because this is not going to be a quick process. Even if they're moving quickly, there's so much to get done that they can't get it all done at once. And then the shell here always makes me think of kind of hearing signs from the universe, or just listening closely to your intuition or to your inner guidance. So I feel like they've been doing that, and that's started to guide them forward in a good way. And I think maybe that's something they've ignored in the past, or they just weren't connected to their inner guidance in the past. And so now they're finally kind of recognizing this is leading me the right path. It's taking me down the right path. And then with this whirlpool, I feel like they are just kind of in a whirlpool of emotions right now. But with this special, like I'm thinking of a couple things. I feel like they're kind of recognizing that they can do something special, but I also feel like they kind of recognize something special in you. And maybe there's something, again, I'm getting that feeling that maybe you kind of triggered them to really take a good look at their lives and recognize what they need to get done. But I really don't think that they have that kind of emotional space right now to move into a relationship with anybody. I don't see them contacting you anytime soon, at least. And that could obviously change, and that won't necessarily apply to everybody. But on the whole, I'm not seeing them having much room to worry about contacting you. Maybe once they've kind of gotten more healed, that might be something moving forward. But I think right now they're just going to be focusing on themselves, and I think that's for the best. So group 2, I hope this resonates with you. I would love to hear if it does, so please leave me a comment below. I am going to post the song that you got below, so if you want to listen to that, I'll post the link to that in the description. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. I hope you've had a wonderful October, and I hope to see you next time. Hi group 3, so if you chose this little ghost plush, then this is your message. So I'm going to start with your tarot and oracle, and with your oracle cards, I do have a song for you. I put my tarot playlist on shuffle, and I picked a song for every group, so I've got that written down as well, and then we'll do your dice and your charms, of course, and your handwritten messages. So let's figure out why your person ghosted. So you've got the 3 of Cups, the Child of Pentacles, which is the Page of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, and the Child of Swords. So it's the Page of Swords. That's interesting. You have 2 3s and 2 pages. So just from the get-go, I'm feeling like this person was immature, because with those pages, that's very immature energy. It's often literally a child. So with these 2, I feel like they might have just been too immature to say something to you, and that's why they ghosted. I feel like it's possible that they were seeing somebody else at the same time, because we've got that 3 of Cups. I always kind of think 3's a crowd, and then 3 of Swords is often like heartbreak, or, you know, just feeling crushed by somebody's words or someone's actions or something. But it's usually that kind of mental and communication energy. So yeah, I feel like that's a possible scenario for some people, that they might have been seeing someone else and they just were too immature to tell you about it. So for your oracle, you've got good fortune, love, joy, rejoicing in the present, Y, number 31, and poised, number 48. Believe in the impossible, blue moon. She who regrets, éclat. Battle, victory, bitterness. And then for your spirit animals, you've got hawk, spider, and crow. And I'm going to have to read from the book to give you some info on that, because they do a really good job about describing those. And then for your Island Time Wellness cards, you've got invest, total connection, and the chaser. So yeah, I feel like this person, I'm very surprised to see all of these like really positive cards here, because we're seeing good fortune and love and joy and total connection and invest, and that's all like very like positive relationship energy, but then they ghosted you. So what's going on? So I feel like they probably like thought that you were amazing, and I think they got really excited, but maybe just that immaturity is kind of stopping them. They're kind of freaking out a little bit. Maybe they're just kind of focused on their own thing right now. We're seeing why and poised. So I feel like maybe they're trying to figure out why you're into them. You know, maybe they don't have the best opinion of themselves, and they just feel like they can't believe their good luck. Why would somebody, you know, like this be into me? And I feel like they just keep asking that. So maybe they're kind of stuck in that mental cycle that they don't know how to do that, and they're maybe trying to kind of get ready to to come talk to you. I feel like that's definitely, I'm seeing a lot of positive energy, and I'm seeing a lot of suggestions that they will probably reach out to you. I'm seeing believe in the impossible as well. So maybe they're realizing, oh wait, this person was into me. Why did I do that to them? You know, that they're, I think, starting to believe that they can actually have you and that you were into them, and maybe they screwed it up. And I feel like there's going to be some regret here with that Three of Swords. I often see that as regret as well. And then she who regrets here. So yeah, battle, victory, and bitterness. So I feel like they definitely are not happy with themselves right now. I think they're realizing they may be screwed up, and I can see them just like coming back after you, like, wait, why did I do that? Come back, you know? And I think maybe it's that abandonment issue that made them ghost, is that they were just worried that you weren't going to stick around, you know? I feel like when you're immature, you just kind of, you know, the communication isn't there. And I feel like with that Child of Swords, maybe they wanted to communicate, but they had no idea how. So maybe they've just been stalking you on social media instead, and they just haven't communicated with you, because I'm really not seeing a lot about actual communication so far, but I do think that they want to. So I want to read the book for your spirit animal cards. So let's start with the hawk, and then I'll read the other two. So for hawk, it says, watchful, all-seeing messenger of divinity. The sharp eyes of the hawk watch our every move. This keen-eyed bird has the ability to see every little detail as well as the bigger picture. When this card appears, fate has its eyes on you, and the winds are shifting. It is said that the hawk carries news upon its wings and is sent from divinity itself to deliver it. The message should not be taken lightly. Though it may seem small or insignificant, it will eventually redirect your course. So that's kind of intense energy. I feel like this could be like a soulmate situation with this kind of like divine guidance and everything. This might be somebody who was put in your path for a reason, and now this person kind of screwed up, and now maybe behind the scenes there's some stuff going on so that you two get kind of put in each other's paths again. And at the very least, I think this person was put in your path to teach you a lesson at the very least. So let's see what Spider says. It says, creator of prosperity through life's work, Dharma. The spider is an ingenious creator. Its greatest gift is weaving the thread of Dharma into a vast, intricate web that supports the spider and those around it, both financially and spiritually. It is hard work, but the spider neither tires nor becomes impatient. This card reminds us creativity is everywhere. Be process-oriented rather than results-oriented, and soon your work becomes like the weaving of a magical, priceless tapestry. Abundance follows. So, yeah, I feel like this person is trying to create the life that they want, and I think maybe they're realizing that you're part of it. But I think they probably are very results-oriented, because I'm seeing this Child of Pentacles kind of holding the pentacle like, oh, this is what I have here. And I think maybe they've been focusing too much on the results, but they're not taking part in the process. They're not doing the work. Maybe they're seeing you and thinking, oh, that's who I want, but then they just aren't doing the work. They're not communicating with you, you know, that kind of thing. And I also feel like this is speaking of kind of the universe and spirit helping to create this as well. There's a lot of very spiritual energy in this pile, group 3, so I'm interested to see what the crow says. It says spiritually strong, so there's more spiritual energy, creative, watchful. The crow has long been a symbol of magic. A crow personality is drawn to the supernatural and has a gift for seeing the unseen, knowing the unknown. It is said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the 3 realities, past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and should only be tapped into when the mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. So yeah, this is very psychic-oriented, so you two might be kind of energetically connected. If you believe in twin flames, it could be that kind of a situation. So this might have just been very intense energy that just kind of scared them off. This is very interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what your other cards and your handwritten messages have to say. So let's see what your Edgar Allan Poe card says. It's the 8 of Spades, which is the 8 of Swords. And then there stole into my fancy, like a rich musical note, the thought of what sweet rest there must be in the grave. So that's kind of morbid, but it's Poe, so that's to be expected. But so the 8 of Swords speaks of being trapped. So this person might be dealing with depression, especially because that quote is very kind of self-sabotage oriented and just very kind of overwhelmed by life and things like that. So maybe it really is, maybe they deal with depression and so they're not sure why you would even look at them, because they're like, oh, I'm a bummer to everybody around me, you know, I don't have anything to offer, and they're just very down on themselves, and that kind of led them to disbelieve in this. But I think you two still are connected energetically. For your song, you've got Brave by Sara Bareilles. So that song has to do with, I think the lyrics are say what you want to say, let the words come out. So I feel like this person is going to reach out, and they're just trying to kind of gather the courage to do so. With this poised, I feel like they're getting ready. I feel like this isn't too far off, because I feel like they're, with this Y card too, I feel like they're not even really sure why they ghosted. Maybe it just kind of freaked them out, and they just had to distract themselves somehow, that they just couldn't believe that this was happening, and it just was overwhelming, and they just had to kind of go and focus on some little things. But I think you bring them so much joy that they can't kind of hold back. This is just like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of situation, so I think they want to come back. But let's see what your handwritten messages have to say. So group 3, why did your person ghost? Okay, that's 3 of them, so I think that's the most out of any group, but we'll see what it says. So playing games. So some of them might actually be playing games. That fits with that immature energy, that they might just be kind of feeling good that somebody so cool is into them, and it's just, maybe it is kind of a power play, you know, that they want to just have that little ego boost and then they can move on. But I do think that they maybe are kind of realizing that that's not okay. They might be maturing a little bit, and I think they are going to want to reach out at some point, at the very least, to try to talk to you again. But I think many of them are going to try to apologize. You also got busy, so many of them might have just gotten busy and literally forgotten to text you, and then it turned into that kind of situation where, you know, it's been, you know, a couple of weeks, I realized I never got back to them, and then, you know, now is it too late? Oh man, you know, and they just get into that cycle of, you know, trapping themselves because it took so long, and they don't want to just kind of shamefully like come forward, you know, with their tail between their legs going, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. But, you know, now the longer they don't go contacting you, the longer it's going to be before you hear anything, and that just makes it worse. So I think they might just be in one of those kinds of cycles. And then you also got depressed or overwhelmed. So I think that might be, they might just be having some issues with their self-esteem, like we thought with that 8 of Swords Poe card. So I feel like that could be, they're just having a hard time kind of getting back to a more stable mental state, and they're trying to embrace joy to kind of bring them out of it. But, you know, when you have depression, that joy is really hard to come by. But I do think that you were something that brought them joy, but maybe they kind of were wanting to protect you from their depressed self too, because I feel like a lot of the time with depression, you don't want anybody around you to have to deal with it, so you just kind of retreat. Many people retreat so that they don't inflict that on anybody around them, and they want to show people the happy them and the supportive them, and not the one that has a hard time getting out of bed in the morning because of depression. So that could be what's going on. So let's do your dice next, group 3. So we're going to use this particular 10-sided die to figure out how many story cubes to roll. So you got 2, so not very many, but it will still get you some messages here. So I'm just going to dump them out and then put 7 back in the box. So group 3, why did your person ghost? Okay. Yeah, I think they're definitely working on themselves, and I think that they're working hard at being better. I think they're probably trying to I think a lot of them might be depressed because I'm seeing this person having to work hard to be joyful and to feel joy. And I like that she doesn't actually look all that joyful to me on this card. Her face is just kind of still, there's not really any expression there. So I feel like that might be kind of showing that they're having to work hard to try to be joyful. I like that these two are in the same position, and then this poised card too is in the same position as well with the arms in the air. So I feel like they might be just trying to get ready to come back to you, but they want to show you a more joyful them. And then they might bring you a gift or something, but I do think that they want to come forward. But I do think that they're wanting to reach out, because this literally makes me think of reaching out and giving you something. But I think they're wanting to present their best self to you. But I do think that they are going to contact you. But let's see what your charms have to say, because that will give us some more information. I am going to use the heart today, so we can figure out what's in the heart of the situation. So group 3, why did your person ghost? So you got XOXO right in the heart. So I do feel like they've got feelings for you. I think they're definitely into you romantically. At least for most people, this is a romantic connection. But I think they have a lot of love for you. We've got the letters N and V here, and K as well. As far as numbers go, we've got 21 and 17, so those could be important dates or other important numbers for you. We've got the Sagittarius charm here, so you could be a Sagittarius, they could be a Sagittarius, but also Sagittarius has to do with freedom and adventure, so they could be trying to kind of get their lust for life back right now. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting from that kind of like depressed and joy energy, and then this Sagittarius as well. So we've got create here, so that kind of goes with all those spirit animals we're talking about creating. So I do think that they're trying to create the life they want. And for zodiac signs, we've also got Scorpio here too. So that could be another sign that one of you is a Scorpio, but it could also just be Scorpio kind of like dives deep. A lot of people kind of misunderstand Scorpios, but that's kind of sometimes the dark side of things, that they're very in touch with their kind of shadow side, their negative qualities, their insecurities, things like that. So I feel like they're in that kind of deep Scorpio energy, but I think they're also transforming it into something better right now. So we've got this kind of lone wolf here howling at the moon. So I feel like maybe they are used to kind of being a lone wolf. I think they might kind of date around, but they're not somebody who ever really has relationships or depends on them for any reason. So I think they're maybe not used to that communication that you need in a relationship yet. And so that's kind of one of the things that contributed to them ghosting, is that they just kind of pulled back, because that's what they do. When they get overwhelmed or when they get depressed, they retreat, and they're used to being alone. We've got the spider here, so that goes with that spider card that we've got, as well as that creative energy here. We've got the lawnmower, so I feel like they kind of are maintaining their life right now and doing the things that just kind of have to get done, and that's one of the things that's distracted them from contacting you. But they are taking control back of their life. If they feel like it's getting out of control, they're taking the wheel again. They're gaining confidence right now, I think, to honestly reach out to you. And I think when they reach out to you, if they reach out to you via writing, they might be kind of writing you a novel. It might be a text or a DM, or, contacting you on social media somehow. Or you might just have a long phone conversation or something. But I think they're going to have a lot to say. But I do think that this group in particular, this person will reach out. And I think this is probably the soonest that someone will reach out. We've got this paw print here, so I feel like maybe they're kind of used to just putting one foot in front of the other at a time, and they're not used to looking ahead as much, like looking further down the line. And I think now they're realizing that they kind of have to. We've got this angelic energy here. So that's definitely kind of supporting that spiritual energy that's involved in this reading. We've got Cupid here, so definitely many of them feel kind of romantically struck by you. I think they're very into you. I think that they've, with this fox, they kind of snuck away, and I think many of them might have felt like you wouldn't even notice if they kind of snuck away to get some stuff done, and then they just not really lost track of time, but just, got really focused on other things. I think many of them are kind of that type that just once they get into something, they're tunnel vision about it, and they can't focus on anything else. We've got this key here, so I think they're finding solutions to the problems in their lives, and I think they're trying to find a solution to maybe apologize to you or to come back into your life. We've got this ballerina, so I feel like if they come back, they're trying to do it perfectly. They don't want to even put a toe out of line because they want to just make sure that they don't give you a chance to tell them no. I think they would respect it most likely, but I think they just don't want you to say no because they say something wrong or because they screw up in some way when they're trying to say something other than what they've said. They mean something different. But I think they're starting to listen to this inner wisdom, and maybe they're asking other people for help as well, people older or wiser, a mentor of some sort. But I do think they want to kind of shout to the world about you. I think you made a really intense impression on them, and I think they want to keep you around. But they are trying to cut out things from their life that they no longer need. With these leaves, I feel like they're trying to let go of some things, and then they're letting other things grow. It just makes me think of pruning. But I think that they do feel very tied to you. I think you two might be spiritually tied. This always makes me think also of that kind of, if you're familiar with the red string of fate, I believe it's what it's called, that supposedly ties soulmates, and it can get tangled and everything, but it still connects the two of you. So I do feel very big soulmate energy with this pile. I think they're trying to go slowly and go slow and steady, but they're trying to be a more equal partner that you could depend on. But yeah, they're kind of going with the flow and taking their time right now. But I think that they might just kind of out of the blue contact you again. We're getting Pride and Prejudice as well. So if you're familiar with that story, there might be something in that for you. But that also just makes me think of overcoming your pride and your prejudice towards somebody else because of shallow factors, and realizing that you're more in sync than you initially thought. I think this is some divine timing is involved with this situation, but I think a time of peace is coming. We've got the sword here, so that always makes me think of just swords energy, so just a lot of mental energy. But I think they are going to be honest, even if they're kind of overthinking or trying to think things through right now, they will be coming back. But I think that they're trying to kind of find a way to open up, because with this corkscrew, I always think of like trying to figure out how to open up, because they've kind of maybe been protecting themselves when they didn't need to. But I think that they didn't have any bad intentions. This bunny always makes me think of innocence. So I think that they had positive intentions with you, but they just didn't go about it the right way. They were immature about it. I think they maybe want to bring you something, because with this donut, I always think of a treat, something sweet. They want to be sweet with you. They want to kind of treat you to something. I think they want to spoil you a little bit. And we've also got the Deathly Hallows here. So there could be a Harry Potter connection for you personally, but also this also just makes me think of kind of overcoming the ending of something and realizing there's more after you thought it was initially ended. So I do think that your story with this person is not over. And obviously it's up to you as to whether you'll listen or take this person back, but just this is for information. Everyone's scenario will not be the same, but I just think that this person is going to reach out to you. I think it could honestly be at any time. I think it's going to be different for everybody, but this one, I think divine timing is at play in this particular scenario. So Group 3, I hope that this resonates. I would love to hear if it does, so please leave me a comment below. If you're interested in listening to the song that I mentioned as well, I'll link that below in the description box too. So I hope this resonates. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you've had an awesome October, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.